along to the first ever live vlog. We're having fun because I tried to do it on the iPhone and it's just doing this right now. So it looks like the YouTube app has an epic fail on there. So let me figure out a way to put the iPad up on there, and I'm going to stick the, I wonder if the nice microphone works on there. It won't in there. Give me 2 seconds, stay with me, don't go anywhere. Give me 2 seconds, I'll put you in a decent place. Will that stay? There we go. Hi, welcome along. There's a few of you. I don't know how I can get the chat working now because it's on the iPad. I had everything set up, ready to go, and the tech has failed me. There's nothing unusual there. You've also now got the mess in this corner, which is not exactly what I was looking for. But if we can get the chat up and working, if not, I've got Hootsuite open, so I'm checking Twitter and I'm checking Facebook as well, so I'll just load up my Twitter feed. I'll see if it will let me see chat or not. I don't know what's going on anyway here. So let's have a look where we're at. Anyway, 4,991 subs. Let's see if we can get over 5,000 in this live show. That would be pretty amazing. We're just going to do this show for 30 minutes today. So it's going to be a longer vlog. If I can fill 30 minutes worth of footage with it, I'm sure I can waffle for that amount of time. Thank you very much if you're joining us from wherever you are in the world. Please tell me wherever you are. I'd love to see the chat. I'm going to try and see if I can hit the window there to see if it comes up. Oh yeah, chat's on. I don't know. I can't see. But never mind. If it comes up, it comes up. If not, tweet me. At Dan Forshaw, you can find me on there and everything else on there. Let me log in before we do that. I wanted to start today's vlog by just talking about my YouTube journey, just talking about how I started on YouTube very early on, and I used YouTube primarily to stick up videos of my band. So you can go on YouTube, you can see various different things. I used to edit them, I used to be honest, sometimes highly edit them as well, to make sure that I was presenting to YouTube and to the world a superannuated version of kind of what was going on. But I realized in kind of like, where are we now? Well, April 2016 was when I launched my Kickstarter project. Well, I'd launched it just before, hadn't I? And basically it was coming in, it was closing in. And what I wanted to do with my Kickstarter was I wanted to show people who were backing my project for Jazz Vespers what was going on, what I was doing with the money. I didn't want them to think I'd just kind of run off to the Bahamas with it or something like that. So I decided to start doing vlogs on YouTube. At the time, as I said, I didn't even know it was called a vlog. I called it a vlog because that's kind of what it looked like, But I just didn't know much about it. I'd seen a few other musicians who'd been doing some vlogs, and then I stumbled across Casey Neistat via Max Openshaw. Now, Max did the Jazz Trio documentary on my band and kind of other stuff he's done. Well worth checking out. It's probably a bit too long, that's my fault, because at the time, again, I didn't understand what YouTube was supposed to be about. And Max told me about Casey, and then that opened up a whole new world of the vlog genre and kind of what we were supposed to do. So kind of more behind the scenes stuff, telling the story about what's going on in my day with my family, but trying to include nuggets of information about playing the saxophone, learning the saxophone, that kind of thing. I see people are now tuning out, so maybe, I don't know, maybe do you want me to play something? I don't know. But I got a question came over via Twitter from someone last night, actually, and it just prompted me to say that, I want to inspire you guys to make your own YouTube stuff, but I don't think, for the most part, just sticking gig recordings up on YouTube works. I think people kind of want to get to know who you are, tell them a story, offer them something. I think if you're just playing all the time, you've got to be at an incredibly high standard, or you've got to be playing music that lots and lots of people want to hear. For example, the way Katie, for those of you who don't know, Katie's my wife, the way Katie would use YouTube is basically to stick a playlist on of certain songs and listen to that while she's in the kitchen, or doing her fitness workout, whatever. Whereas I would tend to search for YouTube for certain tracks if I'm looking for something with students. Often, kind of the best YouTube videos I found prior to starting to vlog were things like Axis of Awesome, so they're kind of like the 4-chord song. There was the the lick project, of course, which was fantastic. You all know the lick, don't you? Kind of that minor lick. Just quickly while we're there, best way to think about that is get your circle of fifths, okay? So let's say, we're starting on let's do it on C minor. So you go from the note before, so on G. So you're going G, C, D, E flat, F. Back to D. And then B flat, C. And I was listening to some more Branford Marsalis, and Branford plays that an awful lot. I mean, there's that piece he plays where it's going over and over again over that certain thing. So I still can't see any chat. I've nothing on Twitter. Come and talk to me on Twitter or on Facebook or something. Let me log into Facebook page. I'm not on the page. So both of them are Facebook's at Dan Forshaw. Twitter is facebook.com/Dan Forshaw. It's the first time I've ever done this before. So let's have a. Nobody's on there. I wish I could see the YouTube chat. It's really annoying me as to where it is. Still at 4,991. So I think when I started vlogging, I had 400 subscribers, maybe a bit less than that. And I've primarily built it around doing videos about albums. Ah, there we go. Tony says, live chat is on, I'm sure. Hi, Tony. There we go. It's working. Good. Keep sending me more questions, everybody. That came up then. Where was that? Thanks, Tony. I had 400 subscribers, and then it kind of just went and just rocketed once I started vlogging. And once I started doing regular uploads, that was the key thing. Just had a question there, do you teach more or play more? Kind of at the moment a 50-50 split, because if you include recording within that teaching, recording within the playing, then yeah, it's kind of like a 50-50 split over. But I am moving more towards teaching, primarily because teaching is a more reliable way of earning an income. And when you've got a family and you've got to put a roof over your family's head and feed your family and all those kind of things, and you want to have a decent standard of living, you've got to kind of fill the gaps in. And I do enjoy teaching, I've got to say that. But I still want to make sure I perform. That's really, really important. And so there's various different gigs, but this is a very quiet time of year. Let's just, let me just run over to the channel to just kind of some of the Q&As that have come in. Because Jürgen asked me a question. He says, he's been struggling with his embouchure for a while. My main problem being the chin bunching up. I would appreciate if you give me any tips, perhaps a Q&A, how to solve such a problem. I mean, I'm probably doing myself out by doing this in the live one, but you guys who are tuned in live will see it. So with embouchure, the best thing to think about, sorry, I'm not a shade today, is to think about like a wide mouth frog smile. The best way is like, do that kind of smile and then make it all miserable and keep the corners back and then an ooh shape like that. And then the top two teeth go into the mouthpiece. It's very difficult to explain, of course, with a saxophone in your mouth. Making sure these corners are back, the chin's low. A good way of testing that is an exercise I've done before, what I call the Garzone subtones, so kind of just playing with air. That kind of idea. I think that's called silent saxophone practice, that particular vlog episode, Jürgen. But it's the age-old thing of long tones. The other one was the idea with the pencil. I'm sure you've seen that. I've only got a pen here. I mean, you could do it without the pen or the pencil, but not break my octave key now. But basically, slide the pen or the pencil in there and try and play low A with the octave key open like that. It trains you to keep your chin low, the embouchure to the side, and then when you take the pen out, it just dangs through, sings through. A few questions about the synthetic reeds. What's my opinion on them? Andrew Petralis asked me that. Oh, there we go. Tony's already asking me about what I think about Ligaro's signature reeds. I haven't actually played them yet, Tony, so if anyone from Ligaro wants to send me anything over, I'm very happy to try them out. I've tried synthetic reeds years ago. I didn't like them. I found them unresponsive and a bit dead. And since then, I've just been happy with using cane reeds and Ricoh Select Jazz or D'Addario Select Jazz as they are now. That's where I am at the moment. I'm very much in a situation where I'm comfortable. I'm getting the results I want with the gear. If I feel like I need a change, or if someone sends me something and it really changes my mind on that, then more power to it. But at the moment, it just hasn't changed. I haven't felt need to change it. I'm comfortable with the setup as it is at the moment. If you've been watching the vlog for a while, you'll know the story about how, whilst moving things around in here a few years, I'm going to move that because it's really annoying me about that library over there. Let's move it that way. It's a bit tidy. It's not much tidier, is it? Now you just got those really strange, weird things here. Oh well. So, what was that? Reeds. Setup, that was it. So when my mouthpiece fell over a few years ago, well, 18 months ago, and I went back and got a metal mouthpiece. That was something I've been thinking about for a long time. Primarily because on that hard rubber link, it was like open to about an 8-star, and I was playing on like 4 hard reeds, and so I couldn't really go up another reed strength from there. And so I discussed it with a few people I was having lessons with, and they were like, you know, maybe think about moving over to a link. So I moved over to a link mouthpiece on there. Any other questions? You want to fire them in? Let me know. Let me just try and see if I can find another thing to fire off on here that came through. 760 Pipes did a great thing the other day. We were talking about I Can't Get Started. I was talking about those Rudy Van Gelder recordings. They are so amazing. Highlighting Gene Ammons, water player, another one of those ones like Hank Mobley that's not necessarily as well known as kind of Sonny Rollins and John Coltrane. But if you're a tenor player, you should check them out, as well as Stanley Turrentine and those kind of people. Fantastic, well worth checking out on there. News about Selma as well. Quite an interesting story. Slightly worrying story as well, I feel. Although I've got to say, I don't feel necessarily I can chip in too much. Although I have got a Selma mouthpiece at the moment. It would be worrying if Selma, those of you who don't know, Selma Paris have been bought out by a private equity firm. My worry would be that they'll then move the manufacturing over to the Far East, and it won't necessarily have saxophones being made in Paris anymore, probably for the first time in what, would that be about 110, 120 years? That would be a real shame if the saxophone was not being made in Paris anymore. Let's hope that they keep it there as much as they can. I appreciate that, times change, and, the thing I'm talking to you on this thing, we're all made in China anyway, so it's not exactly a bad thing of bad workmanship, but it would be a shame if Paris no longer made saxophones anymore. I think that would be a dark day in the saxophone world if that happened. Any other questions coming in? Please keep them coming in. I'm just flying through. Did you like the playlist, by the way? They're still there, all the Advent Sax playlists. Somebody's saying that I didn't put Cannonball Adderley in. I think I did put Cannonball Adderley in for a playlist. I may not have done a video about him because basically I went into London that day, I went to a party and forgot to vlog. But, there's definitely a Cannonball Adderley playlist over there, and certainly, really, really enjoy listening to Cannonball, and definitely advise you to do that. There was another one question. Jeremiah Cooks popped a question in from the Buying a Sax for Christmas vlog, which I did over a year ago. He said, what do you suggest I'll use in church? What should I buy? I get this question a lot from people, and the short answer to the question is you buy the saxophone that you can afford. If you can only afford to buy a £500 cheap student alto, then just buy that. That's better than not having a saxophone. But if there are other options available, like renting maybe a better Yamaha saxophone versus getting a cheap one, then look at the rental option. It's like buying a car. If you buy a really, really cheap car, old broken down old car, it's not necessarily going to be as nice as buying a brand new Honda off the forecourt or a BMW off the forecourt. But, sometimes need must. My BMW died, as you saw in the vlog, sold on eBay in 44 seconds. I didn't have the funds to go out and buy another car like that, so I'm using a runaround for now. That's fine, And sometimes you need to do that with saxophones. You just got to buy the best one you can afford. So definitely that, but avoid going down the route of buying the cheapest possible thing. I don't think you can get a saxophone for less than 200-300 things. I need to see if that because of the teacher again. Do you think there is a difference between a good player and a good teacher? Definitely a huge difference between a good player and a good teacher. I always like to use the analogy in football. And then talking about football as in British football. I'm not going to call it that S word. But you know, Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest ever football manager, but he was only an average player. You know, it doesn't. And you've got somebody who's an amazing player may not turn into a great. I mean, Jose Mourinho, who now manages Manchester United, kind of never got above kind of playing in like second, third divisions or something like that. Very, very average player, but a superb coach. I don't know if it's the same in other sports. I know he is in cricket as well, but you know, some teachers, you know, I've got to say Branford Marsalis is an amazing player and an amazing teacher. He really, really is, but he's not for everyone. And I think that's the thing I'd maybe say with teaching. I think I've always said that I'm good at teaching certain students, and certain students I'm not very good at. I'm not great in an environment with small children that want to learn an instrument just for fun to see how they get on. That's not my kind of, not my gift, not my vibe. I don't know how you term it. Whereas, you know, some great players, because they're so naturally gifted, they can find it very, very difficult to teach. I know that I find it difficult to sort of, I find it difficult sometimes to teach improvisation because it's something I've always naturally found myself able to do. Whereas, say, sight reading was something I wasn't naturally good at, so I had to learn how to do it well and then how to teach it. And I feel I'm a really good teacher of that. I don't say I'm a bad teacher of improvisation, and my students certainly do well in exams and they certainly learn to improvise well. But for me, I've learned so much on that by intuition and kind of what's not said rather than what is said, then sometimes it'll be a bit more difficult. But yeah, I think I said it in a vlog the other day, didn't I? I said, you know, I spoke about my different teachers. I spoke about Frank Griffith, Mike Horton, Tony Woods, Dave O'Higgins, Bramford, Eric Alexander. All those people I've had lessons with have all kind of fed into the pot of stew. You know, kind of thing. Do I advise any players such as just give me an advice. Give me a question. What would you want any advice on? If you're asking about players, I'm sorry I can't see the handle name because it's so tiny on the iPad screen. But you know, I suppose the advice would be take lessons from, if at some points, take lessons from as many different players as you can, many different teachers, and just find out what they've got to show you. YouTube's great, but you're only dipping in. And as I said in the vlog a couple of days ago, I was talking about reviewing my own playing. It's very, very difficult on YouTube to get a good enough relationship with someone to be able to really critique their playing. So, you know, sign up for a teacher. The beauty is now you can get people. You can have lessons with anyone all over the world as long as, you know, they understand how the tools. And that's another thing to be wary of, is a lot of people now, a lot of really good teachers, and I'm not going to name names here, a lot of really good teachers are offering Skype or video lessons and stuff like that. But when I look at their stuff in terms of tech, I don't think they've necessarily understood the potential of the technology or necessarily get how to use the technology to its full potential. That's not saying I'm there all the way, but you know, I've kind of won awards for websites and stuff like that, and I kind of feel that you've got to, as I said earlier on in the vlog, you've got to spend as much time working sometimes on the technology, sometimes more, than I do on the music. There was a question that's popped up there from Chicago. I'm sorry, it's gone off again. Can you send it again? Or it was a really good question if I remember rightly, but I missed it now. There needs to be a way of it saving the questions. Memorizing melodies. Cheers. Okay. First thing would be, if it's a song, learn the lyrics. Definitely. See if you can get hold of a recording of the song. So if it's a song, it's a ballad, a jazz ballad, find Billie Holiday doing it, or Ella Fitzgerald, or Frank Sinatra. I mean, Miles Davis used to talk about how, you know, he listened to Frank Sinatra in order to learn how to play melody. So, I mean, if Miles Davis, who's, I think, one of the greatest melodic players ever, is listening to singers, so should you. The next thing is to try and learn things in chunks. So try and learn, like, so if I've got my horn, so kind of like, sorry, let me have a slurp of tea. By the way, if you are watching, you know, if you're watching from across to the side of the world, do understand that whilst this is a coffee with Dan mug, it's post-noon, so I cannot drink coffee after 12 o'clock. It's just against, you know, every Englishman's sensibilities going. It's tea after 12. Let's look at all the things you are, okay? So just start with that, okay? So learn the first note. The first note on tenor is a B flat, and it goes up a fourth to B flat. And back to the B flat. A to D, so another fourth. Augmented fourth, G to D flat, C sharp. So you're thinking about, when you're doing all the things you are, thinking a lot about fourths. And then it goes down to F, and it goes up a fourth F to B flat. And so on and so forth. It's very much singing the song. I was talking to a student today about this. You've got to get in this habit of being able to sing it, because you've been able to sing since you were a tiny little kid, and it's something your body does naturally. You know, your ear can process it, your brain can process it. What isn't natural is picking up a lump of metal, blowing hot air through it and trying to move fingers. That takes the time. So what you've got to do is just spend time doing little bits. It's better to get 4 to 8 bars absolutely nailed in a practice session than doing 32 bars kind of at 60, only getting 60% of it right. So learn chunks of melody, and within that learn the chord progressions as well. So again, with all the things you are, know that the first chord's a G minor 7 on tenor, and then it goes to C minor 7, then F, then B flat. Knowing your way around things, right? Understanding what's going on with the chords. Are you seeing notes or fingers in your head, muscle memory? No, I'm just singing it. Honestly, with something like that, I'm singing it. If I start looking, morning, William, Rick. If I start thinking about fingers, I'm pretty much buggered. It just doesn't happen. I just fall apart. I get it. So I've got to, it's scales. One of the easiest things to do, if you're not sure on this, and I say this a lot, especially to beginner students, get a major scale, so D major. Be able to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star without thinking about it. Play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, no music, as easy as you could sing it. So da 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 da. And it's as easy as I'm singing it, that's what I'm doing with it. Let's do a quick sub check. Have we got past 5,000 yet? 4992. Come on, tell your friends. We need 8 more people. 8 more people, everyone, and then we've crossed 5,000, and that would be amazing. I want to do it live, so if you want to get 5,000, go on Facebook now or Twitter or whatever you're on. Tell your friends to come and sub, even if they just sub for during the live. No, we want them to stay. We want them to stay. We want them to stay. But in short, conclusion to the idea on the melody. Sorry, there's a lot of waffle when I do it live. You should see when I edit how much kind of waffle I edit through in order to try and make the videos move a bit quicker. But obviously we've been going for 23 minutes now. But yeah, let's start simple. The biggest mistake I see so many people make, and I do it myself, is we try and start too complicated. It's like with licks, kind of, instead of trying to learn massive, big long one, or start with something simple. So like a 2/5 lick going up a minor 7th chord, and then descend a semitone to the A. Okay, just taking that same lick, but as easy as you sing it. But the difficult bit is trying to get it out of this thing. The easy bit is singing it, and that's why you've got to keep trying to sing it, but it's trying to get what's in here, what's inside the inner ear, out of the horn. And it's the same with memorizing melodies. That's why I create those playlists, and I have playlists on, because I need to listen so much. I need to go through so much music and learn it. It's why, as I've said before, like on Blue Train, I can sing everybody's solo on that album because I just listened to it non-stop as a teenager. Now, can't play everybody's solo on that, but I reckon if I sat down and had enough time, I'll let you into a little secret on the live vlog. You know, even as a teenager, I used to think, I wish I could get in a position where someone would leave me on a desert island for a week with just my horn, or lock me in a room, you know, kind of feed me through food, and I'd have a toilet maybe, and just have no other distractions but me and my instrument. You know, you kind of read those stories about Coltrane doing that, don't you? And it's never happened yet. I mean, I've got this room here, but there's so many distractions. So, yeah, maybe I'll get a chance to do that at some point in my life. I mean, another thing I want to talk about in future vlogs is kind of personality types and practice. If you've done Myers-Briggs, I'm called an ENFP. Now, that's extrovert, intuition, feelings, and perception, I think it is. But I think on the F and P, I'm very much in the centre. I could be either or of the two things. Whereas on the extrovert scale, I'm very much over one side. It's quite interesting. My little brother is very much on the introverted side. And yet, so as an introvert, and I'm not talking about kind of, you know, very, very quiet and everything like that, although he can be, it's how you think externally as an extrovert, whereas an introvert will think internally and then say it. And also extroverts find energy by being around people, whereas introverts find energy by being on their own. And I find it very difficult to get energy when I'm stuck here in a room on my own. I mean, I know I'm talking to you guys now, but at the moment I'm talking to myself, which is kind of weird, but I kind of know that there are people out there watching. I hope they are anyway. I'm not just on in the background while you're making a cup of tea. But you've got those different personality types which can affect how you go about your practice. How do you resist getting overloaded so much information out there on the internet? Oh yeah, too right. Well, part of me would say don't go to the internet. No, but obviously you do because you're watching this. I think a teacher would help with that. I think having a teacher or someone to guide you through those steps is very, very important. You'll know, everyone will know whether the person they're listening to has got good advice or bad advice sometimes. I think the way, here you go, this is something again I brought up this morning with two students. The two greatest lies I think of the 20th and 21st century are as follows, get rich quick, lose weight easy. They don't happen, you know, and yet and I've been a sucker for both those at times, you know, kind of, we all think, oh yeah, if I just buy this book and if I just watch this video or if I just do this, I'll suddenly get very rich quickly. And if I just kind of don't eat that thing, I'll lose weight. And it doesn't happen like that. It's kind of a whole industry has been made over those things. And it's a bit like playing the saxophone. It's like, you know, play this tune and suddenly you'll, you know, conquer the world. It's hard work, but you know, there is so much information out there, which is why I think you need someone who can help guide you through it. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know, going to a city. You can go there with your iPhone, can't you, or your Google Maps, or you can buy a guidebook, or you can actually have a local to show you around, and that will make the biggest difference. Is nobody on the Facebook or Twitter feeds right now? Nobody there? Have we not got any more friends to subscribe yet? Let's have a look. Oh, we're up to 4. We need 6 more people. Come on, we can all. There's enough of us online to persuade one person, and we will go over 5,000. I'm going to quickly send a tweet out about that. Let's see if we can get. Let me find it. I'll put the link in Twitter. If not, you can copy it off my thing anyway. Let's do it now. Let's do it now. Anyway, there we go. Right, any other questions? Because we said we do half an hour. We're nearly into half an hour. I want to go a little bit longer because I want to be online when we... Oh, that's 5. 5 more to go, people. Don't all be unsubscribing and resubscribing, otherwise it really will screw the whole thing up. Oh, dear. Go on, somebody else throw me a question while we're waiting for this wonderful thing to happen. Nobody? Nobody got anything more out there? I know it's a daft time to do it on a Friday afternoon. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be a question about music. A question about cooking, food, Get rich quick. Have a look. I don't even know where I'm going to now on here. Let's see if there's another question on here. Go on, if speak now. You can even send me a message. If you've had a question I've not answered it before, now's the perfect time to ask me, because I might actually not deliberately missed it. I've tried not to deliberately miss anything. Here we go. What about the what? Klangbogen. I'm gonna have to Google that. So what? Okay. Okay, it's something that goes around the neck of the saxophone to improve resonance. I've never seen this before. That's definitely something to email them about and get a review. It's supposed to increase the body and projection of your sax, giving you a slightly fattier. Where have we heard those terms before? Yeah, it'd be interesting. Let's give it. I'll certainly, definitely give it a go. I keep meaning to get into sax.co.uk. They've offered me a chance to come in and blow through some of the stuff. Other interesting things. I've spoken to Eastman Saxophones. They are sending me a tenner to do a review of. That's definitely coming up soon. I'm looking forward to that because I was at the Bob Mintzer masterclass, where he was doing the launch on that. So yeah, I made a Giles Fraser last lot. I used a guy, nice one, Alex. I used a guy called JD Seasonings in Wigan. Those of you who don't know, not regular vlog watchers, you'll know I'm trying to get some weight off this year, and I'm not doing too well at the moment. But I got this guy, I saw it on Instagram, JD Seasonings. So I used one of his spice packs. It was okay. The problem is, I'm quite a good cook, from this on myself, but I'm quite fussy, and you kind of know that there's something missing from the flavours. So I think I probably should have thrown a couple of chilies in there extra to kind of heat it up a little bit, because it lacked a little bit of flavour. It was still very, very nice, but I kind of could tell there wasn't the, let's just say there wasn't the ghee in there. I think, is it ghee or G? Ghee, it's ghee, isn't it? G's a key. Synthetic reeds have saved me a lot of times in the shed. Thinking about going back to cane though. Yeah, interesting, Johnny. I mean, it is one of those things, isn't it? I mean, cane's been around for a long time and seems to be doing quite well. But if you prep the reeds, I've got to say, since I moved, I haven't got it with me to hand, but since I moved to that Rejuvenate, it has made a difference to the longevity of the reeds. Still at 4995, guys. Come on, someone can get somebody else on. Let's get five more people. Here we go. Let's have a look. We've got a new follower on there. By the way, just a quick straw poll, those of you who are watching. Twitter or Facebook? Just tell me which kind of ones would be your preference, or are there other social networks like Pinterest or anything else like that you guys use that you find useful, in addition to, not necessarily instead of YouTube? Because I've got to say, setting this live stream up today, one big failure of YouTube is live streaming. So there's one for Facebook. Anybody else bringing anything else in? Still stuck at 4995. Facebook. Do I ever get the chance to see any of the other YouTube saxophone players? Yeah, I bumped into a few at sax.co.uk at that Bob Mintzer thing, and I've got a couple of other people who are meeting me for videos. I'm not over, I know a few people through the connections when I did some recording with Head Candy, but I'm not overly, I need to sort of spend a bit more time checking those out. Sadly on YouTube, I try not to avoid the rabbit hole of going down. Obviously I watch I try and watch other people as well, and certainly, kind of the other YouTubers I would tend to watch don't tend to necessarily be music. I've seen Amy Nolt's videos, obviously Bob Reynolds' videos, Yannick Gustala's, but kind of my two sort of favourite YouTubers at the moment, Pete McKinnon and Casey Neistat. I just think, if you haven't seen Casey's latest video when he went on the plane to South Africa, that was just phenomenal editing. Speaking of phenomenal editing, do any of you want to hear watch the Grand Tour? Because they did this thing on the episode 5 where they were ripping off these YouTubers, and it was quite very funny and quite incredible video editing. I mean, I was just watching it as someone doing an kind of semi-pro video editing. I was just like, wow, that is outstanding what's going on there. We're still on 4995. Sounds like I'm trying to sell my first car here. So let's see. Come on, guys, let's get me over 5,000. It will be a nightmare to have to leave at 4995 today. Any more questions? Any more questions? Let's have a look. Oh, we've got maybe a notification on Twitter here. Keith's asked me a question. He says, how, with the variable consistency of reeds, does it make any difference to a beginner how they would know if it's the reed or the person? And there's another one there. I changed the soprano because of the weight. I like to play jazz. It tips on the sound of the soprano. Let me deal with the soprano one first because that is a bit easier to answer. Soprano, check out the soprano playlist. I use a clarinet reed, not a soprano reed on the soprano, and just work like a dog on long tones and tuning, especially at the top, and listen to Steve Lacy, Branford Marsalis, Josh Redman, maybe some of his soprano playing, and Sidney Bechet, of course. You've all seen that blog about Sidney Bechet and the guy shot because he said he played a wrong chord. And I think I have a go at people sometimes. Consistency of reeds. Let's go back to Keith's question. Does it make any difference to the beginner? How would they know if it's the reed or the person? Keith, I guess kind of a beginner wouldn't really know kind of what the difference is. It would, again, that's where you have a teacher. A teacher can help you find those things out. In general, make sure that you've got a decent brand reed. So within, I used a Dario, but there was Van Doren, and obviously the synthetic reeds people are talking about, which I haven't tried out, so I can't necessarily endorse, but I am aware of them. How would I know if the reed or the person? I guess as long as you set the reed up correctly on the mouthpiece, it should be okay, unless it's got a massive split in the middle of it, in which case it's naff and gone. In terms of how long they take to wear out, it varies from person to person, and reeds are inconsistent. Even the best brands, the ones I really love, as you saw yesterday's vlog, they can be massively inconsistent in what they do. 5 more people, come on, 5 more people. I'm going to pick my children up from school in a minute. Let's see if there's anything else. You wouldn't believe that I could have made a vlog in this amount of time, but obviously it's great on here. 2 more questions. I'm going to have to sign off in 3 minutes whether we reach 5,000 or not. Sadly. Let's have a look. If there's anything else that I wanted to broach on YouTube. Community, let's have a look. Held for review. Come on, anybody. Where? By the way, one question I haven't asked yet. Where are you all? Just sort of tell everybody where you are in the world. That might be quite interesting. Where everyone's coming in from. Should have said that at the start, haven't I? Netherlands, Cambridge. Not too far then. Is that it? Oh, there we go. Ireland. Yeah, I'm definitely want to come down to Detroit. It's definitely on my way. It's 2 hours from Chicago. Sounds like a good blues song, though, doesn't it? Keith says Darlington. Keith's replying on Twitter rather than YouTube. That's fine, Keith. That's good. That's good. Let's have a quick look on here. I don't think we're going to break this 5,000. Oh, we're up to 6. We've got 6. Come on. 4 more people and we are 5,000. You can say you were here live when this channel broke 5,000, when hopefully I'm breaking 100,000. That's the target. I mean, it's just amazing. I am thrilled. I mean, one of the things I used to set out to do is to try and inspire others to do creatively. And if I thought about kind of how many people I can impact with that in teaching in a week, it's kind of what, 25, 30 people, maybe a few more via online studio, kind of on a gig, maybe kind of a couple of hundred a time if it's a really well attended gig. But to kind of think, 5,000 people and more can watch these videos and be inspired by them. It's just mind blowing. It's very, very humbling. I've got to say that. It really is. God, no, I want to see that tick over. We're nearly there. Any other bits of gear that anyone's interested in that they've kind of seen? I definitely will check out that Klangbogen, or whatever it's correctly called. No. Well, I bet we're going to reach that milestone, perhaps, hopefully before the end of today. I'm going to have to say thank you very much. I'm going to have to draw it to a close today. Thank you for being part of the live stream wherever you've been in the world. It's been interesting. It's been a bit of a shame that YouTube is such a pain to get right. It would have been nice to have had it working through the DSLR, but it's just kind of crazy. Facebook Live makes things a lot easier, which you've probably seen when I've been doing gigs. I think I'll try and do a live one once a month. Maybe I know Friday afternoon is not a great time, but I've got teaching commitments all night tonight, family commitments and work commitments over the weekend. Don't forget, tune in BBC One if you're in the UK this Sunday afternoon at 4:25 p.m. I'll be on BBC One, which will probably have a few more viewers than I've got on YouTube. Talking about jazz vespers and playing as well, performing with my quintet, sextet actually I think it is. We've got 2 vocalists on that one, which is the one recorded all the way back in November. The vlog for that one is called Too Much Sax on TV. Thank you very much for watching. There probably won't be a vlog now till next week, so thank you for being part of this. If you've got any questions or comments, please fire away. I'm always on Twitter and Facebook as well, so thanks for being part of this. Have a great day if you're waking up on the other side of the pond. Make the most of the day. Keep asking questions. It's streaming available for your upcoming show. I don't think it's available in the US, but I might be able to work a way around it. If you've got a VPN, you can maybe get the iPlayer that way. I think now they actually make you log in, so maybe you can't access the iPlayer like that, but it will be available. There'll be bits of it available online anyway. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great Friday. Keep asking questions. Keep practicing. Remember, practice on the days that you eat. See you soon. Bye-bye.